Hey all, it's Trisha Nielsen, your real estate agent with an educator's heart. And I'm reaching out today to talk about all of the headlines that you've probably seen in the news about what is happening with the real estate industry right now. And there have been a ton of headlines and they grab your attention. I saw one yesterday that said, "The realtor's big defeat." And it just really makes us out to be defeated, as in we're villains or we're bad people. And that type of attack that I've been feeling these last few days and criticism reminds me of being a teacher again and why I ended up leaving education. But also it just made me realize that there's a lot of information out there that is not true or that's portrayed by people and given by people that have no idea what's happening, what real estate agents are doing, how much we work our tails off. And I, for one, have been working super hard, and then to read these headlines and read this misinformation is disheartening. So I just want to share a little bit about what I know, and I have really sought out the resources that I know are legit, my affiliates and my associations that I work with. For example, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. I've gotten information from them, from Seattle King County Realtors, Washington Realtors, and our Northwest Multiple Listing Service, the MLS. And those are the associations that know what's happening in this industry. And so the three things I want to tell you about with this NAR settlement are just for your information and to kind of break it down quickly. Any questions you have, reach out to me and I'd be happy to tell you more. There was a class action suit filed last year by sellers. So sellers were saying that buyers' agency compensation wasn't fair and it wasn't transparent. And I believe them. It happens, right? You find realtors, this is nationwide, that maybe aren't transparent and aren't using the ethics that we want to see used. But it's kind of become this blanket settlement, lawsuit that then now there's been a lot of copycat lawsuits. And so NAR, the National Association of Realtors, has settled and presented three items that they say they will settle with. This is all still in the works. We don't have a lot of answers still. They're bound to come. Events may still unfold. But what they have offered is a settlement that needs to be approved in court, since it is a class action suit. So if it's approved and gets through the court system, these will take place in July. So all of this began last year, and of course this just came out on Friday that NAR, my association, has reached this settlement. I've always been with associations, whether educator or now as a real estate agent, and they do work for, in this case, brokers and protecting us. And so I don't have all the information. I don't know what led them up to the settlement that they came out with on Friday. And so I'm still seeking a lot of information as well. But what I do know is that the settlement entitles 3 different steps, 2 of which are already in place in Washington. I'm proud to be a Washington realtor, and a lot of this has been already put into policy for the most transparency and flexibility and protection that we can give consumers. So the 3 things are, number 1, that the buyers have to enter into a buyer agency agreement with their broker. And since January 1st, that has been happening here in Washington, and even before that time, where a buyer and a real estate agent who represents them have an agreement what it will look like to work together. And that's where you can talk about compensation, because realtors only get paid when a transaction is closed. I work for free most of the time. And so, there has to be some salary that comes to me, or some pay, right? And I don't get a salary. So that's what it looks like. And traditionally it has been the seller who has the asset, who has the house, that has the money, that pays the buyer broker. And in fact, since 1997 in Washington state, that has been the case. But now they are going to decouple it. So that's the second thing that's happening in the settlement, is they will decouple, take apart the buyer's compensation from the listing agent. Buyer agent represents the buyers, listing agent represents the sellers. And those will no longer be coupled. They will be separate and negotiated separately. With that said, the third thing is that you can no longer, a listing agent cannot put what the compensation will be for a buyer broker in the MLS, which is the big database where all information goes in about listings. And that's what eventually comes to you, maybe in Redfin or Zillow. And so in the MLS, you will no longer see what a buyer agent will earn as compensation. So that means a buyer agent will have to find out with every single house that's listed, talk to the agent, find out what are the sellers agreeing to do to meet the needs of the buyers. And bottom line is the buyers have more needs. They have closing costs as well as the sellers, but they are the ones that need to buy the asset. And so they don't have the money. They're already trying to get together a down payment and work out their loan information. They have to pay for an appraisal, an inspection, loan origination costs. And so on top of that, to pay a broker is something that is to be considered. And certainly a buyer can do it without an agent, but it's not recommended. This is the biggest purchase you're gonna make. And there's a lot of legal issues that can come up. There's a lot that goes on during closing, and to have guidance from a real estate agent is just recommended and the way to protect you the most. So regardless of this happening, whether it happens in July or not, buyers still need agency representation, sellers need agency representation, and we're just gonna have to go forward and see what happens, see how this changes, or if it does stay the same, how we adapt and become flexible. All right, signing out with Figaro here. And please, if you have any questions, let me know. 2 things have always been true about real estate. Number 1, compensation is negotiable, always has been. They say 6% is the standard, that 3% goes to the listing agent, 3% goes to the buyer agent. I have yet to receive 3%. I often accept 2.5% or 2%. So again, it's all negotiated. And the second thing that is for sure is that the consumer chooses their agent, who they want representing them. Find a skilled real estate agent that brings value, that provides what you need to, that earns that money, because there are some really hardworking real estate agents out there, and I work with them daily. And it's great to see, and I'm proud of being in this profession, and I hope this helps you to understand a little bit more. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.